Titans running back Derrick Henry has led the NFL in rushing in back-to-back seasons. He's been a monster for fantasy football managers. But should we be a little bit cautious when it comes to drafting him in 2021? Let's break it down with SI senior fantasy analyst Michael Fabiano. And Fabs, first, I want to talk about Derrick Henry's age because he's not getting any younger, right? He's 27 years old. Typically, that's the prime of anyone's kind of career, but not necessarily for running backs.
Well, there's a few red flags with Derrick Henry, and I know a lot of folks out there will come out and say, well, he is not a typical running back. He dishes out the punishment, he doesn't take it. And that's true. But I like looking at the historical trends. So since 2001, only two 27-year-old running backs, LaDainian Tomlinson and Adrian Peterson, so two elite guys, have reached 333 fantasy points in a single season. That's what Derrick Henry did last year. Just eight backs at that age have finished with over 300 plus fantasy points, and just another five went 250 or more. And listen to this, just five running backs, Peterson, Tomlinson, Sean Alexander, Fred Taylor, and Edgerrin James, have rushed for more than 1,500 yards in their age 27 season since 2001. Folks, Derrick Henry is going to see regression. That regression might not be great enough to make him a bust from a fantasy football perspective, but the history shows even at age 27, some of these guys start to see declinations in those numbers.
All right, let's talk for a minute here about what Derrick Henry did in 2020. He ran for 2,000 yards, becoming the eighth player in NFL history to do so. I know that the Titans offense runs through Derrick Henry, but should we be cautious about the fact that Henry did run for 2,000 yards and kind of the precedent for the other running backs the following season? It's not that good.
Right, exactly. We've seen seven before Henry who have gone over 2,000 yards. And of those seven running backs, they have experienced no less, Bill, than a 562-yard decline in rushing yards, a 578-yard decline in scrimmage yards, and a 99.4-point decrease in fantasy points the following season. Now, Terrell Davis rushed for 2,000 yards and then got hurt the following year and didn't play in more than 4 games. So the average decline in rushing yards among running backs who played in at least 12 games the year after 2000, 807. And the average decline in points, 120.6. As Jerry Seinfeld would say, that's a big matzo ball.
In 2019, Derrick Henry had a just shy over 300 carries. Last year, though, he had 378 carries. And that's troublesome. That's a little bit worrisome when you're getting that much volume. And I know the track record of running backs that get that amount, that get that many attempts, it tends to trail off the following year.
Yeah, there's this thing in fantasy called the curse of 370. And I'm going to look back at that trend since 2000. There have been 13 such instances where a running back has had 370 touches or more in a single season, including Henry last season with 397. In the previous 12 instances, the player's stats sometimes fell significantly, and overall, 75% of the time, those running backs saw at least some level of a decrease in their statistical success compared to the previous season.
All right, so that is the case against Derrick Henry. Michael Fabiano, I know you have a whole series of articles and videos up on Sports Illustrated for the case against some top name players like Saquon Barkley, Justin Herbert, Alvin Kamara. That's all up on si.com/fantasy.